Welcome to the Sigma Empath Podcast, guest edition. My name is Vital Germain. Today, with my guest, we're going to do a deep dive into nutrition, the good, the bad, the ugly. What are we consuming? What are we buying off the shelves? Is it food? Is it something different? We're going to talk about veganism. Is it all based on economics? Is it a morality issue, or is it purely being empathetic towards animals? Oh, and then we're just going to talk about the concept of conspiracy theory. Hi, Nick. It's good to see you. Welcome to the show.
Hey, Vital. Good to be here, brother.
Likewise, likewise. I'm not so much one for labels, but labels tend to be a sort of a shortcut, a summary of who somebody is, what somebody does. Where would you categorize yourself? Are you a nutritional activist, expert? Are you a vegan? Are you a sociopreneur? All of the above. Give us the short version before we unpack it and dive in.
Well, great question. I'm not big on labels either. The two labels I stick with is male and vegan. So definitely been on the vegan train for going on 13 and a half years now. Been a lot of it's a crazy journey, but where I'm at right now is a more entrepreneur in that vibe, and have a company called Big Papa Protein. That's new. I mean, it's launched, it's active, but we're still kind of new and getting our footing in on how we want to operate and move forward. And then I have also, it was formerly called Guac Bottom, but I am keeping that trademark, that not trademark necessarily, but that company name for a marketing company to work in sync with Big Papa Protein.
Okay. Give us the short version. What is Big Papa Protein other than some form of protein? Is it a drink? Is it nutrition? Is it food? Both?
So it's actually, I got some product here if you don't mind.
Sure.
So we have toppings. So these are called protein packed toppings. You put them on anything savory. We got about 5 flavors and a couple more coming. And then we also have a plant-based cheese sauce mix. So it comes in a dry powder, so it's non-perishable, because that's always a problem. You buy the vegan cheese dips and you forget about them maybe, and they go bad, or you got to eat them right away. This, you just add water, lemon, and blend, and it'll make about 24 ounces of a nice, creamy, dreamy, delicious plant-based cheese that you can, again, use as a dip, drizzle on anything savory.
You've got me hungry. I'm sold. I want to dive into your journey.
Yes, sir.
What was the spark, the motivation, the push to have you go down this path? Usually somebody chooses a venture, something happens, it's either a calling, a passion, an awareness, or is it purely, here's a market, I want to make money? What's the journey?
Let's start with that last line you said, here's a market, I want to make money. Because I've been down that route before. But it really started with the creamy gold, and then there's another flavor I don't have on hand of the topping called, and then we'll go way back to the beginning of the journey, called, now it's called Big Papa Parm. So these are 2 items I've been making for years. And then it's at some point, someone says, you should sell this. And you're like, yeah, I know. And it's, and you think of all the steps it takes to get it to market. Then after like 5, 6, 7, 10 people say, why aren't you selling this?
Yeah.
Then I kind of have to answer the question, why am I not selling it? And I don't have a good answer. So that was the birth of what was originally called Guac Bottom. It was a pop-up. We went to a couple local vegan restaurants in Las Vegas, and we made quesadillas and nachos and big, delicious salads. And realizing that wasn't the route to go. You buy $300 worth of food, you sell $250, you got a bunch of extra food left over. So then I figured out a way to package them and sell them as they are right now, where you can ship them to you anywhere in the world. You can maybe pick them up at a local market I work. But going back, the initial spark, being about 26, 27, I was actually reading a book called Mind Programming. It was by a guy named called Eldon Taylor. Great book. I recommend it. I've read
Mind Programming?
Mind Programming. Yeah, I probably read about 5 or 6 of his books.
Isn't that what we experience all the time, constantly through social media? We're being programmed. What is this book? Baby. What is different about this book, the short version, that is it more about unprogramming really than actually being programmed?
Yeah,
is it raising awareness about our programming?
It was raising awareness so you can recognize it. A lot of it had to do with subliminals in advertising. and the way things, kind of like you said, and this is if I'm 26 at the time, this is mid 2000s. So, social media was just now a thing. We didn't when I was reading this book, we didn't have it on our phones. It was still all computer based. But it was about recognizing subliminals. But there is one little section, I don't even think it covered one page, on psychic ability. And it said, if you want to raise your psychic awareness, don't eat meat for 30 days because you're eating the vibrations of fear, of torture, and of death. And at the time, like, I didn't give a damn about animals and their well-being at all. But I always studied vibrational energy, more specifically reading Napoleon Hill's work, where he would call it the infinite intelligence, I believe, how we're all connected. And then following, still to this day, David Icke's work, where he also talks about the vibrational energy of
I completely agree with you and align with that philosophy. And over the years, as I've shared that to people, I am not vegan. I just want to say I'm not vegan. However, about 5 years ago, I stopped eating meat. Every now and again, I still do. So please don't judge me. I still do. But I've minimized my meat consumption. And I would have discussions, and I would say this very thing, that we are consuming the fear and all the toxins from the overload of adrenaline and other hormones that the animal secretes. And the answer has always been, well, if you want to go back to primitive ways and tribal ways, when they hunt the animal, the same thing happens. And I was never really sure how to counteract that argument. What is the answer to that?
Well, back in the tribal days, we're in survival mode. So if that's the justification for eating an animal, they're killing it themselves, and they're feeding their families, and then they, live on to pass their genes. We're way out of survival mode. Every city is obviously different, more specifically in America. But we're in Las Vegas here. There are, I don't know if there's many 24-hour grocery stores now, but
no, they've kind of all shutting down at 11 since COVID, 11 midnight. Yeah.
Yeah. But 11 midnight is still very convenient to get something to eat. Most of them open at 6. They close at 11. So that's 17 hours out of the day that we have. So we're way out of survival mode. And back then, if you kill an animal, look at the lion and the gazelle, they're eating it on the spot. They're not torturing that animal. They're not breeding it.
The torture, the process. Yes.
Yeah. Even when you see organic or humane, the cows, they're hanging them upside down and slitting their throats while they bleed out alive. And the pigs are gassed. They're like literally put in a gas chamber. And there's video, you can find video of this where they suffer incredibly. And that's not necessary in today's society. And if anything, it's just a scar on the heart of humanity that's how we treat animals.
So Nick, in a perfect world, what is it a compromise? What is the compromise? What is the solution? What is the answer? Does everybody have to stop eating meat, or can we eat meat in a way that we don't have to torture these animals, because it's all based on consumerism, capitalism, make the most amount of profit, therefore we don't care what we do? Is there an answer other than becoming vegan?
I think the solution is to go as plant-based as much as you possibly can. Now, I read someone say this is very interesting. I read a vegan person say this the other day, where if someone has to eat meat for their health, I'm just saying that hypothetically, you could still not wear leather. You can still not engage in other forms of cruelties as much as possible. So it's not an all or nothing. So I'm just saying this like as a hypothetical again. If that's your excuse, I have to eat eggs because if I don't eat eggs, this happens to me. Then stop with the dairy. Stop with all the other meat. It's going back from it as much as possible. And a lot of it has to do with the intent too, because we all have to engage in some form of cruelty.
I'm glad you say that, because that has been my foundation, my philosophy, why I won't call myself a vegan. However, I've minimized wherever I possibly can any type of consumption that is not necessary. Every now and again, I mean, here's my validation. I'm O rhesus positive. I crave meat. However, I've learned to not crave the meat. And so I will have a moment of selfish weakness where once every couple of months, you know what, I will order that steak if I'm at a restaurant. And then I kind of feel guilty. Then I tell myself, don't you dare do that again. And then that's the cycle. But I agree with you about the veganation thing. So in terms of now you finding the balance between the conscious aspect, but you're an entrepreneur.
Mm-hmm.
How does that work for you? How has it worked? What are the challenges?
Really, for that is kind of what I said earlier about maybe you have to eat meat allegedly, but don't do anything else cruel. And for me, it's going back to doing the most conscious option available. Like one issue here is, this is not this is not a nice plastic. There really isn't any nice plastics. My original bag was a part. I'm forgetting the term. It's a type of plastic that's biodegradable, and it was 50% that, 50% craft paper. But again, I know if you take it and you throw it in the woods, it's going to be there in 10 or 20 years. So it's being marketed as biodegradable, but I even kind of looked at that as a little bit of BS. So I didn't promote that too. But we live in a world where, microplastics are a huge problem, but I don't know how to function without plastic as much as possible. Kind of the same thing for all my ingredients. We're not certified organic, but everything except for the cashews and the nutritional yeast is organic. So less pesticides, better for the environment. But organic cashews are unaffordable to me right now. And then even looking at the source of the cashews, they come from Vietnam. The company gives you a big rhetoric of why these are the most fair trade or humane. I forget exactly what language they use. I have to trust that they're telling the truth and there isn't cruelty as far as the way the labor and the humans are harvesting the cashews. Now, maybe
go ahead.
I was gonna say maybe I'll sell 1 million bags and then I can fly out there and see for myself and get a better option. But I'm just not in a position to do that right now.
Go make that $1 million ASAP. You mentioned the word organic. We're all familiar with it. I struggle understanding organic and healthy food.
Mm-hmm.
It's for me, it's not redundant. It's an oxymoron. It's a level of hypocrisy. If we have to pay more for organic food and healthy food, what is that telling us about everything else that is on the store shelf?
Oh, everything. Like the fact that the grocery stores have a health food section,
right,
which probably will compromise, I'm just saying maybe 5-10% of their total stock in the store. That means 90 to 95% of what they're selling is bad for you. I look at it as fuel versus sludge. I know if I eat this item, I'm going to go, oh, it tasted really good, but now I want to take a nap and I'm not going to do the things I was supposed to do today because now my energy sucks.
Yeah.
Versus making a salad, putting some pizza Rave or baking me crazy to really amp the flavor up and eating the food and saying, okay, let's go. I feel pretty good right now. Full belly, full of energy. Let's rock. Now, going back to the organic itself, that is more expensive in a lot of cases, really due to supply and demand.
Why? Okay, so basic supply and demand, basic business principles, but break it down.
Yeah, so let's just take corn, for example. Way more people are buying non-organic corn, which is genetically modified, and we can go into the issues with that, versus way less people are buying organic corn. So you can sell a lot of GMO corn for a lower price.
Just so those who don't know, GMO, genetically modified organism, right? But we refer to it as genetically modified foods, but it's actually organism, correct?
Yeah, genetically modified organisms.
Yeah.
And then you got the organic corn, which a lot less people are buying. So in order for it to be profitable for the farmers and the companies, they have to sell it at a better price to be able to make a profit and keep the business going.
I also just thought it was a question of guiding the consumer. We want you to eat these type of foods because we have other alternatives and other incentives, meaning we know that we can manipulate the food and get you addicted, which means you're going to buy more, you're going to be more unhealthy. Because you're more unhealthy, you're going to need more pharmaceuticals. And it's literally that sort of conspiracy theorist rabbit hole.
Oh, 100%. When I first started this journey, back when we met, I was still doing a show. It was called Health Conspiracy Radio.
Yeah.
And the reason I called it that, because at the age of 27, I was vegetarian. I stopped eating processed foods. I went from 210 pounds to 140 pounds. I look like a crackhead, but a healthy crackhead. But my energy, I couldn't believe how great I felt. And I was almost pissed off. Like, this is a conspiracy, because how am I 27 at the time? I'm 43 now. And I feel the best I've ever felt in my life because I stopped eating these so-called foods. Someone called them edible food-like substances.
Yeah.
And that's what a lot of them are. They're actually not food. They just happen to be edible and give you calories and satiate your hunger for a period of time.
For a period of time, the operative word, lacking nutrition. Let's go back and revisit those days when I first met you. You were angry. You were mad. You were an activist. And I understood your message. You were actually slightly ahead of the curve. I don't think the world was yet ready for your level of intensity and passion. How did you have to adapt your message to be heard?
So I will say this: I don't think I was angry back then, but I understand 100% how you perceive that.
Yeah.
Because when you read 10 Facebook posts that I put, and 6 of them are going, F the system, they're trying to kill us, doing this and that. That's really just a smidgen of my day. Just getting it off my chest. Then I go back to being happy and funny or whatever.
Yeah.
But for me, to me, there's really no value in that these days, because even back then, we all talk about AI and bots. That was happening back then. I remember talking about organic non-GMO food and saying it's the pedophiles and it's you guys. It's the guys that do terrible things to children, and then the people that want you to stop eating Monsanto Roundup Ready BT corn.
How relevant is this topic? Let's go there.
Yeah. So I realized back then, sometimes you might be arguing with a teenager in the comments. Really don't know that person behind. You don't know how many prescriptions they're on. You don't know their trauma. So arguing with people, it doesn't really work compared to a face-to-face where we get real-time feedback and we can hear each other and understand each other and say that makes sense, versus you read the one thing that I said, and this is my anger response. I'll show this son of a...
Exactly. And also face-to-face, there is no keyboard courage.
Yes.
You're now talking cliche intended man to man.
Yeah. Internet brave is what I called it back then. And I used to see people that I knew in person and saying, you would never talk to me like that to my face. We both know that's the case. So really, really after COVID, because, you look back to where, when we first met, I was the conspiracy guy. I talked about 9/11 conspiracies, what they're doing to our food. And when COVID came around, I didn't believe it for a second, because I was 15 years ahead of they are trying to kind of.
So let me put you on the spot. Let's test your authenticity and integrity. Did you get the vaccine?
Oh, Jesus, tap dancing Christmas. No.
All right.
No.
So you are a man of your word. I did not get the vaccine either. I was more than happy to stay home, isolated, even wear the mask, but I would not put a foreign substance that had been prematurely put out to market. I would not put that into my body. That is integrity. Good man.
I'll even take it a step further. I lost a job over a mask.
Yes,
because I worked I worked by myself in a building, but there was a mask policy, so I never had to wear a mask because no one ever came in. And then I was told, well, you have to start wearing the mask. And I said, okay, I'll find something and we'll discuss it. They said, no, you can only wear our company branded mask. So I wore it once. It sucked in on my nostrils. The next day, my nose was so stuffy I couldn't breathe. So I said, I'm not wearing that mask. Well, you have to, or we'll consider you quitting. No, I'm not quitting, and you have to give me an opportunity to wear another mask. And they fired me. Now, that's an illegal firing. If I could afford a better attorney, I could have had a lawsuit. But that's
you better go sell more product.
Yeah, definitely. But that's to the point where it's like, if you've known me as long as you know me, or even people that have known me since the late 2000s, like 2007, 2008, I'm not saying this as a cutesy little look at the conspiracy guy. He's so funny and quirky. I believe this based on what I've seen in my experiences and my research. So when this came around, a lot of people who, were not really friends, but acquaintances, did the unfriending, the unfollow. And that's okay. But it's like, you guys know I wasn't bullshitting you all these years, right? I believe this is a conspiracy to put us in a smaller box, to control our movements, to get biometric data in us. And I've been saying this for a long time. So it's not going to change now that back in 2020, when the full fear mode came on. It is what it was. I don't call it a vaccine. That injection was never going to happen for me. Yeah. Never going to happen for my daughter. Even their own official statements. COVID was always a set of symptoms. SARS-CoV-2 was the virus. So if they said you tested positive for COVID and you're asymptomatic, based on their own propaganda, that's BS. Because if you don't have symptoms, you didn't have COVID. You just had the virus.
I remember there was a joke at the time, and I'm going to bastardize it a little bit, but the short version was he jumped out of a plane without a parachute and he died of COVID.
Yeah, that was, I don't know about that one specifically, but there was people who got shot, people got hit by a bus, people who were already sick with several comorbidities. And if they tested positive, by the way, the PCR test was created by a guy named Kerry Mullis, who said you can find anything if you amplify it enough. It's not supposed to diagnose sickness. It's supposed to test how much of a viral load that you have, the guy who created the virus. So the PCR test wasn't actually testing.
What is PCR? What is PCR?
Excuse me if I butcher it. The poly chain, something with an R. It's been a while since I looked up.
I can look it up, but it's an interesting.
Yeah, but that was the basic test that most people did when they said, "Oh, you tested positive for COVID." It's what was called the PCR test. Kerry Mullis, who died conveniently in August of 2019 of pneumonia, won a Nobel Prize for creating it. And he specifically said it's not meant to diagnose infectious disease. And that's how they were using it, contrary to how he was using it. And also, the man who calibrated the test came out of the CDC version of China and literally said, we didn't have the isolated SARS-CoV-2 virus. So we calibrated with SARS-CoV, now known as SARS-CoV-1. Right. So it wasn't even testing for the alleged virus that they said it was testing for. But you go there, you get a positive, it could be a false positive anyway. They're not actually testing for the viral load, but now you're a COVID. So it was more of a pandemic of fear based on cases. And, remember CNN, this many million deaths, this many people diagnosed with COVID. And, for people who were born into the world and, maybe never thought the government or whoever's really in charge of the government would do anything to hurt them. I mean, look back at the civil rights movement.
That's very naive. It's very naive of people to at least. So here's my take on conspiracy theories. First of all, conspiracy theorist is almost you saw the truth and you knew before everybody else. You knew the truth too soon. We always end up finding out years later, remember you used to accuse us of being a conspiracy theorist? Look at us now. Mm-hmm. But I think it's just a lot of people, I try to give them the benefit of the doubt. There's a level of, they're so used to indoctrination. They are not in the mode to question and challenge. They simply embrace authority, whether you want to call it romantic, whether you want to call it naive, whether you want to call it ignorant. That's just the way they are. And I almost feel sorry for them in some ways. I like to challenge, but I try to get knowledge from multiple sources to come to what I would consider an educated decision. However, I want to ask you about this. When it comes to science, us conspiracy theorists, which, by the way, is an incorrect term, right?
It's a CIA created term, by the way.
Tell us about that.
So when JFK got shot and people started questioning how the hell did Lee Harvey Oswald shoot him in the front of his head from way back there several times.
And how did it make a left turn and then a right turn? And then,
yeah, exactly. Witnesses seeing people in the grassy knoll, the Zabruta film. The CIA decided to come out with the term, and they were very in charge of the media at the time, called conspiracy theorist. So it's not a conspiracy. They're just theorizing what they think might have happened. And here we are, 56 years later, we still using the term. It's kind of a common term now. But even the word theory, when people go, oh, conspiracy theory, in people's mind, that means bullshit, lie.
Yes.
But Big Bang Theory, we question germ theory, the theory of relativity. These things are stated as fact, but they are actually not fact because they are all theories. But
and I'm glad
conspiracy in front of that word, it's a different vibe.
But I'm glad you said that because, again, it's a theory, all of the above. As humans, I find it rather arrogant and pretentious that we assume to completely and fully understand the universe when we're still learning and our minds change. Where I'm going with this in terms of science, anybody who questions science is told you don't know what you're talking about. The only way you can question science is if you implement the, what's the term? It just escaped me. There's a term that says in order to challenge science, you have to have this process in place. And if you don't have that process in place, who the hell are you? Shut the hell up. And my take is we already know that science has changed its mind. Everybody should always question and challenge.
Mhm.
It could be that I'm completely off base and wrong with my assessment, but at least give me the freedom to question and challenge you to come up with a stronger, more relevant theory. What's your take on science?
So saying you can't question science is the most unscientific statement you can
Yes.
say. Saying you're not this, you're
The
not a
scientific
doctor.
method. Sorry, the scientific method. That's the term. Go ahead. Sorry.
It's a process. It's a
Yes.
method. Science is not a religion, but in current
It's
mainstream
becoming.
media, it's becoming religion. So you can't question the doctors and the scientists, just like you can't question the priests and the bishops. They are the word of God. We are the word of science. Science is not. You don't believe in science. That is a. I don't even know how to word that. That's not even a real question. Saying you don't believe in science. That's saying you don't believe in God, you don't believe in Christianity, you don't believe in fill in the blank.
Yeah.
So science is a process to always be questioned. And a good buddy of mine, his name is Liam Sheff. He passed away several years ago. He does have a book called Official Stories. It may still be available out there. But he grew up around scientists. And what he learned as a young age is that when it comes to science, the facts can change.
Exactly.
How many adverts have you seen, Vital, in your life? Doctors recommend this brand of cigarettes. Dentist says the
It
dentist
was
says
a healthy
Coca-Cola.
stress relief
Yeah.
thing to do. Yes, I know.
You know the term I learned this pretty recently. When someone's BSing you and someone might say he's blowing smoke up your ass. That doctors really used to do that. It was the science at the time. They would blow smoke up your backside saying it's going to heal you. Now people
Wow.
realize how goofy and stupid that was, and it became a term to say
Wow.
instead of someone's BSing you, they're blowing smoke up your backside.
Well, metaphorically, I've had a lot of smoke blown up my bum. Never literally, thank God. Um, Nick,
Amen.
What was your childhood like? You're a man of great passion. I'm kidding, but I want to quickly shift gear a little bit. You have a pig, or you had a pig called Gandalf.
Yeah, my man.
Tell us about this and how it ties into veganism and what do you use the pig for? Because I've always been told, be afraid of a man who owns a pig farm.
Oh man, oh man. So unfortunately, I did just have to leave the property that we were raising them, taking care of them at. But they are going to get adopted. There's this great organization run by a lady named Janice. It's called Wendy's Pig Farm. Just look up Wendy's Pig Farm, Overton, Nevada. You know, if you got some money, donate to them. I don't know how many animals she's taking care of, but she is doing, man, she's doing her thing. So we have Gandalf, Winnie, Peppa, and Conrad. So those are the main four. Then we have Big Frank. I don't know if you believe in the concept of evil, but if you do, Big Frank is he's evil. But he came from a traumatic situation. He was a pig that someone bought as a little potbelly pig, and when the guy who took him away from that situation, I think he saw a Facebook post saying, "Somebody get this pig, or we're going to leave him in the desert, or turn him into bacon, or something." He was, I mean, I can't even get it on camera. He was fully grown, basically living in a bathroom eating processed food. It was a man and a woman, an adult couple, and a little girl. Only the little girl can get near him. So he hates all men with a passion, but that's okay. He's not sexist. He hates about 80% of women too.
Wow. But you know
Yeah,
what? This pig must be a descendant of Napoleon in Animal Farm. Is it Napoleon who dominates in Animal
I
Farm?
remember that. Yeah.
2 legs bad, 4 legs good, and he changes it. I mean, literally, it's a great metaphor for what we're experiencing right now. So, but what was the purpose of having all these pigs?
So really, it kind of just fell in. I don't want to say fell into my lap, but I was just a musician where I was the one that had to take care of him for a while. And I mean, I don't take that lightly either. Like I missed it. Like I haven't seen them in about a month now, and I miss
Yeah.
them like terribly. Pigs,
They're very
definitely
intelligent. Very
yeah, they
intelligent,
are
right?
like dogs. They have their own separate personalities. Like for example, Winnie and Peppa were the females. Gandalf and Conrad were boys. Gandalf was more the alpha male, very dominant. He'll nip at you. Conrad is the sweetest, gentle giant you'll ever come across. But you know, Winnie and Peppa being gals, you can tell the difference. You know, they both had male and female characteristics. But going back to how I gotten a hold of them, this guy I was friends with at the time was wanted to start a pig sanctuary. So I don't even know the origin stories of the other four. I kind of never wanted to know. I just loved them as they were. So he brought these 5 pigs around, and it was on someone else's property. And the guy whose property we were using to raise them ended up selling his house. So fortunately, at the time, the guy's mother had a vacant house with a half an acre. So I was looking for a place to stay at the time. So it was very synchronistic. It really just worked out where I was able to move into the house. We were able to bring the pigs over. And then it was about 3.5 years of us kicking it with the homies in the backyard and rubbing bellies, and feeding ankles. Man, they just
love it.
Yeah, even my daughter's 17, will be 18 soon. It's just, out of all the things I could give her and her to have a memorable childhood, I don't think anything will top being with the buddies in the backyard for
beautiful.
those 3.5 years.
Beautiful experience. I want to close out on 3 quick answers, somewhat potentially. Let's go back down that conspiracy controversial route. 3 things. Should people eat the Impossible Burger?
No.
Why?
Going back to GMOs, genetically modified organisms. Now, just a quick explanation of GMOs. Really what we call GMOs really should be called transgenic, because you're putting a foreign piece of DNA you're taking a bacteria DNA and putting it into a plant. So the main selling point for GMOs are they're Roundup ready. So Roundup is a herbicide made of
that causes cancer.
Yeah,
and it kills the dandelion, which actually kills cancer, and so forth and so forth. Yeah.
So anyone just type in Roundup, is it bad for you, and have a field day. So these plants are grown to take up a tremendous amount of Roundup. Now, there's a group called Moms Across America. They test products for Roundup. So they tested the Beyond Burger, and they tested the Impossible Burger. And the Impossible Burger had 10 or 11 times more Roundup in it than the Beyond Burger. Now, most of our products, including organic, are going to have a touch of Roundup in it, but 10 times the amount from one vegan burger to the other is pretty tremendous. And it's grown with a type of bacteria, hemoglobin, I might be saying that wrong, which is novel to the human body. So it's basically you're eating an herbicide patty. So Impossible, no way, no chance. I probably ate it twice on accident, but I would never eat it on purpose.
The US should have some form of government entity that controls, regulates, and tests food. Oh, wait, they do.
They should, right? That's a great idea.
All right, man. Second question. We go to the food store, we go to the produce area, and they spray water. I've heard conspiracy theories, and I've been told you're full of bullshit. Is it water? Is it some chlorine-based product? Do we not know? Can it be proven?
I believe, from what I understand, that's mostly tap water.
Okay.
So it's probably the same water. I shouldn't say the same water that's sprayed to grown. A lot of that is well water. I did see something recently, maybe within the last year, that there's a different type of chemical being sprayed. I don't remember what it was called. I didn't follow up on it. But I think if it's just water, I don't see that being a problem. If it's something else besides water, I'd like to know that. Just a little side note. I shop at a variety of grocery stores, but whenever I can get over to Henderson and Natural Grocers, all their produce is 100% organic. All their fresh produce.
Could you repeat that store?
Yeah, it's Natural Grocers. If you're in Las Vegas, they have one off of Sunset, down the street from the Sunset Casino in the 95. If you are way up north, they have one near in the Aliante area. But Natural Grocers.
I will go and check that out. And then the last question is, I have to quickly look it up as a reminder. Bill Gates. Appeal. Are you familiar with that product?
I am. Not at Natural Grocers. They don't carry it at all.
Okay. Can you inform us a little bit? Give us the not so scientific, basic, rude, raw, Nick version of what it is, and should we stay away from it? How do we stay away from it?
That's the how might be a little tougher, but from what I understand, it's like a sometimes they use like a wax,
on apples. Yeah, disgusting.
Yeah, to keep them fresh. So Appeal is something that's supposed to keep them fresh for a much longer time. Now, Bill Gates is a terrible human being for lots of reasons. We will, go down. We'll save that for another podcast, maybe. But the idea of the Appeal, it's supposed to keep the fruit and the vegetables to stay on the shelf for a very long time. Now, if you want to look this up, APEEL, type that into a search engine with the store, then you can see the store's policy if they carry the Apeel products or not. But some people are starting to show like rubbery avocados, bananas that don't break when you bend. And the speculation, we don't know this for sure, but the speculation is that those are being sprayed with Apeel. It's unnecessary because fruits and vegetables are supposed to go bad. That's just part of the natural process. We don't need a chemical on them to make them last longer than they need to last. I shop for my fresh fruit typically and vegetables typically once a week and sometimes twice a week. And it's, I know it's a minor inconvenience in today's society, but we don't need another chemical that's going to put another tens of millions of dollars into this guy's pocket.
I agree.
Stay away from it. But the how to avoid it, type in Whole Foods Apeel, Sprouts Apeel, whatever grocery store Apeel. Natural Grocers actually does have a poster out on their store, on their window saying we don't and we would never use Apeel.
That's good to know. I remember one quick story. Many years ago, I traveled a lot, and I'd forgotten an apple in one of my kind of mini backpacks that I stopped using. And then one day I'm kind of cleaning out, and I'm like, oh, the apple. It was still good. Like a year later, probably a year. Insane.
That
Nick,
is
it was absolutely insane. Thank you for sharing this journey. Going back to your product, where can people buy your protein? What did you call it? Let me see.
Big Papa Protein.
Big Papa POPPA protein. Where can they find it? Where can they find you?
So the website's live. We are fulfilling orders. The website, it still needs work, obviously, because there's a lot to do. But if anyone wants to go there, bigpapaprotein.com. All the products are live. We have a subscribe and save option. We also TikTok, Facebook, Pinterest, Instagram. It's at Big Papa Protein. Also, you can follow at Guac Bottom Baby because that will be the marketing part. Part of how we market is through that logo and brand. So everything's you want to follow through there. It's you'll see the social media ramp up over the course of the next few months. And if you want to get we got taco every day, which takes you on a flavor journey. Pizza Ray, baby, tastes just like pizza more than anything. And my current favorite is Bacon Me Crazy.
Bacon Me Crazy, very clever.
It's so much flavor, and it's 7 grams of protein just for 3 tablespoons.
Very smart, very clever. Nick, I've enjoyed this conversation tremendously. Thank you for providing us with so much passion and insight on this topic. Congratulations on entrepreneurship, on being a conscious daddy. And I look forward to see what happens to you in the next 5 years. When you've made that million, you can go retrospectively make that lawsuit happen.
Definitely, man. I appreciate you, Vital. Congratulations on all your success. I love going back and all these years we know each other, seeing you doing your thing. I was actually going on your YouTube. I saw Danielle Ford a month ago. I was like, I forget what we called the group, but we're still
MASH. Making amazing shit happen.
Yes. That full MASH circle. Here we go. Yeah. I love it, brother. Yeah. Thank you so much.
All right, Nick. Talk to you soon. Take care. Peace out.
All right, Vital. Be good, man.